Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I'm gonna let people keep joining before we really get into it. I'm not late. I've been sitting here the whole time. I've been sitting here the whole time. Although I spent all this time setting up, I did not get my mic positioned correctly. It's in the way. Never live chatted before. Well, welcome to your first live stream. What's up, everybody? I fixed the setup a little bit. It's a little brighter. It means that I can focus on stuff in front of me much easier now. Fixed all the things. I'm not just a little late. Get out of here with that. Although, I have coffee here, but I'm going to drink that later. I ran out of beer here. I ran out of beer at the office, so about 10 minutes ago I set out on an adventure to go get beer, and this is what I'm coming back with. I now realize how bad this is. You guys don't know why this is bad, but this is bad. I love hazy IPAs, and I have not tried this one. So McGill Avenue from High Branch Brewing. I'm really excited for it. Didn't fix my face though. You're right there. I did not fix my face. Should you feel bad for watching it work? No, you should feel great. You should feel great. The hat is from a place called Lebo's, but you can get this hat all over the internet. Same exact thing. Ooh. That is a really good beer. That is a really good beer. Okay, so basically today we're just talking about SHOT Show. So technically as media, you have to be invited to SHOT Show to be in. Like, you can apply, but if you're not on their list, you're not getting in as media. And I'm not on their list, so Zach, the wonderful human being he is from Blade HQ, he offered to get me into SHOT Show, and until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the plan was to go, and then I decided not to, because I've not really had time to really get settled into this office, and that's what I was planning on doing for the last few weeks. And then, man, I got sick this week. I got sick at the beginning of this week, and then I was like, you know what? I stayed home so I could hammer out some videos. And then Alex got sick, and the baby got sick. Like, it's just, actually, the baby didn't get sick. We're trying to keep the baby from getting sick, so I stayed home some this week, and it all just fell apart. It didn't really go as planned. So I did not go to SHOT Show, and I did not make more videos, so it was just a bust all around. But I'm feeling better. Alex is starting to feel better, and we're just going to work on getting back on schedule next week. Next week, I actually have a plan to get back into the old rhythm that I had with the channel, which was like 2 to 3 videos a week. That's been very, very difficult to get back into, but the whole point in moving into this new space was to get back on that track, and I've got to do it. So next week, I'm starting off. I may not actually make more videos next week, but I will shoot more videos next week to get back into that rhythm. The rhythm that I used to have was shooting 3 or 4 videos in one sitting and then editing those as I go along. And it's so much easier to batch shoot videos like that versus setting up this whole thing, shooting it, then editing it, and then rearranging everything and shooting something else. So I still want to be able to rearrange and do different things, but I want to hammer out like 3 or 4 videos without ever touching my video gear, and then make a different video while I'm working through editing those that I've batch shot. So all of this is to say I'm working on getting back into a good rhythm. I've got probably 70 videos in the backlog that I want to make, and I've just not made. So while I was sick this week, I was laying in bed, and I planned and started making a video. Not shooting, but started planning the video. So whole point is we're getting back on track. But the whole point of this stream is since I missed SHOT Show, Eleanor saying da. Well, I'll be home soon, but the whole point of this stream is to talk about SHOT Show. Since I didn't get to go, I could at least talk about the things that I saw. Just basically just watching Blade HQ. Like, I really don't know where else I would follow SHOT Show if I wasn't following Blade HQ, but those guys crushed it. They really reminded me of when I was doing trade shows and covering that and doing videos. Like, we would do 60 or 70 videos in about 3 or 4 days. Just a team of 2 or 3 of us. So hardcore grind, and those guys have been absolutely crushing. And that's one of the other reasons. Like, I was a little nervous about going to SHOT Show because I'm not set up to do that. If I had gone to SHOT Show, it would have been maybe 2 or 3 videos about my favorite things. Talon's covered it to a degree, but not in depth. Like, Talon is there and he's making some videos, but I'm saying like covering it. But since I'm not there and didn't go and didn't make videos here, I figured the least I could do is just chat with you guys about your thoughts on SHOT and give my thoughts on SHOT and some of my favorite things. If you look at the description, I listed out some of my favorite things from the show. And then at the very end of this stream, I'm going to talk about my absolute favorite thing from SHOT Show, like the winner of the show for me. And I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on that as well. Because there's some stuff in here that I've never had any experience with at all. Like, I've had some Civivi knives, I've had some Wii knives. I've never had anything from Tops. There was stuff that I didn't see coming. There was stuff we could have predicted, but we're going to get into that in just a second. I see a lot of people talking about the Civivi tweezers. Yeah, a lot of people seem to like the tweezers. I don't know if I have my tweezers here. I have that here. I think it's right here. Actually, it's not right here. I don't know where it's gone. It's missing. There it is. Okay. So I've got some pretty hardcore tweezers myself. This is the Enigma Pocket Probe from Rat Bastard. These are serious tweezers, but Civivi did come out with some really insanely robust tweezers as well. Paul, these are not ugly. They just look like they're from a different world. So ugly. I would say other than the bit, this thing's very utilitarian, like a pry tool and tweezers. I don't see myself ever using the bit for anything. I wasn't at SHOT Show, unfortunately. I originally planned to go, and I did not go. So anyway, I think the first thing that surprised me about SHOT Show was something that I didn't see until earlier today. The brass Elementum looks pretty sweet, yeah. But I think my favorite Elementum is the one that I picked up this week, which is actually a little bit of a spoiler for next week. If you know what I'm talking about, if you think you know what I'm talking about, let me know. Comment what you think it is, but this is a little bit of a spoiler for a video I have next week. But the thing that I think surprised me the most about SHOT Show this year is something from Rick Hinderer. He has his, I think he's calling it the Vintage Series. So he's got currently a fixed blade, and I need to mute this so you guys don't hear it. But he has a fixed blade, and you can see it towards the end of this video, or in the middle, I guess. He has designed it after old firearms like the M1 Garand. So he used a hardened walnut handle and steel flamed hardware. This O1 tool steel. Pretty sweet little fixed blade there. All of these videos are going to be from Blade HQ, but what's so interesting about this is not necessarily this, but he said that he's using this, or going to expand the Vintage series among all of his knives, which means a folding knife with this same design. So you have a walnut handle with the flamed hardware, and then on the backside he was explaining the coating on this O1 tool steel. So this is not like DLC or anything. It's called, I'm not going to be able to remember what it's called, but it's a different type of coating that's very, very resilient. They used to use this on old firearms and stuff. And on the backside, they've green anodized the titanium scale to give it this kind of vintage look. I love the way this looks. I'm not the biggest Hinderer fan in the world, but this knife right here looks sick. I am really, really digging it, and I just noticed that I'm actually covering up part of this video. Let's fix that. I think this thing is pretty sweet. Parkerizing. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mike Hale. Parkerizing is the coating on that O1 blade. But parkerizing, I think he said something about it in the video. You'd have to watch it. It's linked down below, but you'd have to watch that, and he explained that something through that process created kind of a green hue, and that's why they went with a green anodizing on the titanium scale. It looks really, really sick. Like I said, not the biggest Rick Hinderer fan. Like I think he has great designs. I think they're a little spendy for what they are, but that one looked pretty sick, I think, to be completely honest. I don't have to bronze anyway. He's already flamed the steel hardware to be bronze, which is perfect. Prices on his folders are like 500-ish, 450, somewhere in the 400 to 500 range, I think, typically. You might be able to find some in the upper 300s. Parkerizing wears off easily when used hard. Well, anything will wear off with hard use. But yeah, I'm not familiar with parkerizing at all. I heard it for the first time today. But yeah, I love the way this knife looks. Start to finish, everything about it looks just so, so sick. That walnut wood scale with the bronzed hardware and then the greenish hue on the titanium on the other side. It's just a really sick looking knife. Like, that's one that I would have in my collection and carry quite a bit. Like, I have a lot of knives in my collection. I have a ton of knives in my collection, but there are just a few that I always come back to. Jim says DLC is tougher. DLC is tougher, but it's not period accurate. So he was going for a vintage style, and he used an old vintage tool steel, which is O1, and he used the old coating. So it wasn't necessarily for the best materials and the best of everything. It was paying homage to a really awesome time in knives and firearms. So the story behind it is part of what he is selling with this, and I think that's really neat. The new flat iron. So I don't have that on my list. I didn't get to Gerber, but there was so much stuff happening at SHOT Show. It's a huge show, and that's one of the reasons. Like, if I were a knife company, I would not announce anything at SHOT Show. So a lot of the reason that all these companies do announce things at SHOT Show is because they have free media coverage, right? So they pay for a booth, which is a few $1,000s, and that's all well and good, but you have media coming through there and clients and potential customers all coming through there, and it's a really easy way for them to get a lot of value for that small or relatively small price to pay. But the thing is, this is just knives, and you're competing for, like, I guess notoriety or whatever. You're competing for views with all of these other knife companies, and it makes it really tough. So if you announce something off show, or if you announce something at a different show, like a smaller, more dedicated show like Blade Show, it's a lot easier to get recognized. And it's very similar to CES. So a lot of tech companies started announcing things at CES, and then they realized, oh my God, it's so hard for all this work that we had to get recognized and noticed. And they've started announcing stuff off show or at more specific shows. This is just a lot of information to parse, so I didn't even really get to Gerber. I saw the video on Gerber before SHOT Show, so I imagine everything they talked about in that video with Blade HQ is all the stuff they announced at SHOT as well, or had at SHOT. I like the cleaver blade fastball. I think that's pretty cool. The D2 flat iron, I think, is what it should have been to begin with, especially with how they priced it. I think it should have been D2 to begin with. And I know that a lot of people don't like the double down, but I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. I think it's a little spendy, but I kind of like the double down, which is that Balisong looking machete, which is not a flipper. You can't flip it, but it's still a really cool design. But I definitely don't think anything Gerber did is a show stealer at all. One more cleaver, yeah. There were a lot of cleaver blades. Cleavers, I think they're cool, but in a lot of ways they're not really practical, especially on a lot of knives, because they'll do cleaver flippers. And when you have a cleaver, the whole point is to be able to get a flat blade on a flat surface. And when you have a flipper, the tab usually extends past the blade, and it kind of nullifies having a cleaver. That's one of the issues I have with a sheepdog. I think they're cool, but I also think that they're just not the knife for me. Cool to have in a collection, not something I want to use all the time. Wasn't the double down a KFC sandwich where the chicken was the bread? I don't know if that was the name of it, but I had one of those one time, and I felt horrible. I felt like I was going to die. Anyway, the next thing that I saw that I thought was really, I don't want to say cool or interesting. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's a showstopper, is the new lock mechanism from Artisan. So the theme of this show was definitely like Axis style locks. So as you all know, the patent is up on the Axis lock from Benchmade. They own the patent on that, but the patent has expired. They still own the trademark on the name Axis, so people can't call it an Axis lock. But you're seeing basically the same thing from every other manufacturer. Everybody's doing it because it's a really nice ambidextrous way to have a lockup, right? Makes your knife ambidextrous, and it's pretty solid, a pretty solid lockup. Artisan's, if you didn't see it, let me pull it up here real quick. Artisan's lock was very similar to an Axis lock, but it has some benefits over the Axis, I would say. Where was that? And I first saw this on Blade HQ's live stream they did on Instagram, and I think it's an interesting idea, but maybe not the most practical thing ever. I don't even know where it is in this video. Here it is. So once again, we are on a Blade HQ video. Skip forward. This is what it's called. I don't know what knife this is. I don't know much about Artisan Cutlery, to be honest. I don't have a ton of experience with them. I think they have some cool designs, and I think they have some outrageous designs. But the way this works, it can be actuated from the sides like an Axis lock, or with your index finger you can pull back. It's pretty cool, and it also has the benefit of if you have a grip on the knife, you can kind of push forward on that lock and secure it even better. But it's still just a spring-loaded lock mechanism. It also has something that the axis lock doesn't have. It has a tension on the blade, so if you let go of the lock, it'll stop the blade from closing anymore. And since this is on a flipper, you can use the finger choil as a finger guard when you're closing the knife, so you can't close it on your hands. But I think it's bulky, chunky. They have the same sort of lockup on this CJRB knife, and I think CJRB is a little more interesting to me than Artisan Cutlery because it's like Civivi is to we, right? This is their more budget lineup, and I don't know. I think the designs from CJRB are just a little more my speed. Not everything. A lot of designs from Artisan Cutlery are very high speed, low drag, but the stuff from CJRB is a little more toned down, a little more my speed. But I am going to have to fix this because I can't see you guys when I show you things. So give me just a second. I can't see your comments at all right now. There we are. This is not working for me. I'm failing right now. I cannot pop out the chat window, so I'm going to have to try something else. This is why I need a third monitor. Okay, there we go. Now I can still see what you guys are saying while I'm showing you different things. Perfect. I already have 2 monitors. I tried a third monitor. I got a third monitor, and it's kind of tough to work a third monitor on a small desk. Well, I don't even have a small desk. I have a big desk, and it's still kind of tough. Okay, sorry about all that. Any chance you're going to do a video on forcing patina on copper or brass? Yes, at some point. I've been really having a tough time getting over to Rick's, but I would like to get back over there and do some stuff. We've got stuff planned. Might as well get 4 monitors. Yeah, 4 monitors seems more reasonable than 3, which sounds really dumb. But I have a 32-inch monitor, 34-inch monitor right here that I haven't even plugged in yet. There will be a Blade Show meetup, yes. Okay, now that I have this set up better, I can show you things a little more easily. But yeah, CJRB, I really like a lot of the designs that are coming out of CJRB. I didn't even realize until probably maybe 2 weeks ago that was Artisan's more budget-friendly line. Thank you for the $2 or €2. Matus? Kapusta? I don't know if that's how to pronounce it, but thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think these are really nice. I don't know what the price point on these are, but I think they look really nice. And I know they're going to be probably in a $30 to $40 range. And I think that's the more interesting part of the market for me right now. I have all these super expensive knives, and they're really nice, but man, it's getting really old buying expensive knives, and especially when you have such high quality stuff coming out in the budget, like even under $100, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to discredit Artisan either. I think they have some pretty interesting stuff, especially their, in fact, I think it was at the beginning of this video, there was a Lanny's clip flipper. This is more my speed, but I really wish they would do that without carbon fiber, and they may have. They may have made that one in my Carter or something. That is a really interesting Artisan knife for me, but a lot of their stuff is very high speed, low drag, such as this, with that Tanto blade, kind of an upswept tip, just a little flashy for me personally. But there was something else I had noted from CJRB. Oh, it was just a lock mechanism, both high end and low end. So the Artisan lockup on that, I don't think they have a name for that lockup yet. If they do, I didn't hear it in the video, but that lockup is all titanium on the Artisan knife, and it's, I think, stainless steel on the CJRB. You think they talked about that Lanny's clip flipper in my Carter? Cool. An HDMI splitter. It's not a problem with hooking up 4 monitors. So I'm running all my monitors through an eGPU, which has 4 outputs. It's more of it's just more of a desktop space issue. I didn't butcher the name at all. Awesome. Good to hear. And welcome, Slovakia. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so besides Artisan and CJRB, which I always want to call CRJB for whatever reason, Ontario Knife Company had a pretty interesting two interesting things that I saw. And I hate to be just going straight through Blade HQ's videos, but like I said, I don't know how else to cover the show without going there, and I don't know who else even covered it, but the Shikra is the knife that Ontario Knife Company, OKC, mentioned, and this right here, I think it's going to get a little bit of flack from people, especially knife steel snobs. This is my Micarta liner. You have a titanium frame lock with a micarta show side scale. The flipper, I think it's on washers. I don't think it's on bearings. It may be on bearings, but this one, the reason it's going to get flack is right there. It's an All-State blade. Totally going to call it the OKC Shikra. Yeah, no, this one, it's a really sick blade. It's very slicey, very thin. That high saber grind. Like, if it were full flat, it'd probably be a little better, but still, I think it's a really sick blade. He said it's $45, I believe. That's a really nice price for a titanium frame lock, even if it is All-State steel. What was the name of the small Hyperion? I don't know. Are we just giving Taylor advice today? No, we're not giving advice. I'm talking about SHOT Show. Trying to, at least. Yeah, I don't think All-State is bad. I'd like to see variants of this. Like, if there's a All-State Rat 1 and Rat 2, there should also maybe be a D2 Shikra. TRM Atom is the bomb. Yeah, this also has very similar lines to some of those more simplistic knives, like the TRM Atom. Obviously, different blade styles. This one's a saber, that's a flat, but still. The Shikra is totally a ripoff of the House of Knives Arete. I haven't seen that. I would hesitate to call something a total knockoff now, especially because there's so many different knives. It's I'd have to see that to really make a determination on my own. Finally pulled the trigger on a Rat 2. Rat 2's a little small for me, to be completely honest. But there was another thing from OKC that I really liked, and I did not like this at all, the translucent scale lockback. Not digging that at all, but what I was digging is their Old Hickory line. So Old Hickory are these fixed blades with, I think they're hickory handles, but they're budget friendly. They look like bushcraft blades, and they're very, very thin stock. So probably not really great for bushcraft. Maybe they are, I don't know. Very thin stock, very slicey. I think I wish the handles were a little more shaped or contoured, but for the price, I think the big one is like $45-50. It's a really sick knife, and for that, you get that leather sheath with it too. So I'm digging that from OKC. I would say OKC is not my absolute favorite company out there making knives, but they do provide a ton of value for the money. Always do. Started as kitchen knives. What, the Old Hickory knives? Yeah, no, I totally agree about the OKC knives. Those Old Hickories look really nice. And I've been looking for a knife to take camping. I'm going camping pretty soon. And I plan on taking both of these with me, but also maybe considering other stuff. So I don't love the sheath that comes with the Trek from Travex, but I really like the idea of this knife. Very thin, very lightweight. It's barely noticeable when you're actually carrying it. But the other is the Guardian 3 from Bradford. Really like this. I'm just afraid that this might be just a little small as a camp knife. Going camping pretty soon. I've been saying that for 2 years, I know. I know. You're not telling anybody who doesn't know that. What's the argument for carrying, Jake Mullen, that is a great question. Let me put these up. He said, what is the argument for carrying an expensive knife besides the show-off factor? I want to get an expensive knife, but I would hate losing it or cutting something that damages the blade. Two things that are going to make an expensive knife kind of worth it. One of those would be your warranty. A lot of your higher-end knives come with really nice warranties. Some budget knives come with great warranties, but when you're talking about a very expensive knife, like, I don't know, a Sabenza, that comes with a really great warranty. Spydercos come with a great warranty. Benchmade's tend to come with a great warranty. Those knives, like, you can use it and abuse it and use it and abuse it, and depending on how bad you abuse it, sometimes those things are going to be covered under the warranty. So you can abuse the crap, especially like with ESEE and their fixed blades. You can abuse the absolute crap out of those knives, and they're going to replace it for you. If you break it, you're not going to have to buy another one. They're just going to send you another one, which is really, really nice. So it's worth the investment a lot of times. A lot of the times, the other reason would be better materials and better build quality. So a lower-end knife doesn't always have great build quality. So when you're working on something, cutting something, you might have some blade play. Leatherman has a great warranty for their tools as well, yeah. But if you have blade play or something like that, it becomes a dangerous situation to use one of those knives. And when you're paying a little more, you have higher tolerances and just better all-around tool for the job. And it's built for use. So a lot of people buy expensive knives and they don't want to use them, but they're tools. And the more you pay, not always, but a lot of the time, the better suited for the job that knife is going to be. I hope that makes sense. So you could spend $50 on a knife and it could last you 5-10 years just fine, especially if you take care of it. But you could also spend $300, $400, $500 on a knife and it could last you a lifetime. And if something ever happens, the company's going to be there to back it up. That's my take. But you get a ton of value out of something like this. And especially now that companies are making budget knives like this right here, it is becoming increasingly difficult to suggest something worth $200, $300, $400. This right here is $50, and it is one of the best knives period. And people are gushing over this, and people are like, please stop talking about the Elementum so much. But it's a phenomenal knife. Not even just for $50. It's a phenomenal knife, and it's only $50. So finding the sweet spot is up to you. And I think it's increasingly easy to justify just getting a $50 knife because you're getting, you know, decent blade steels. D2 is not the best ever, but it's a decent blade steel and something that will take a beating. So that's just my take on all of that. I hope that helps. All right, let's move along. We're kind of dragging our feet here. I'm not going to dwell on this one too long. The mini Bugout, I think a ton of people love the mini Bugout. I honestly couldn't care less. I think the original Bugout was the perfect size, maybe on the erring on the side of too small for me because I've got some pretty big hands. The mini Bugout is about the size of the Elementum, and that's fine. It's going to be perfectly big for most people. I think I have my Bugout right here. I do. So obviously I do not have a mini Bugout yet, but the size is about this. Like, this is a really good size comparison for the Bugout and the mini Bugout. I saw the Bugout beside an Elementum, and they are almost the same size. So, very small difference. I guess it was warranted. I guess they responded to customer feedback and made a smaller, lighter one, but I just don't understand why. I don't know. I don't quite get it. So that's where I'm going to leave that. Mini Bugout comes in a few different colors. I probably won't get one. I have upgraded the scales on my Bugout. Yes, these are titanium scales from Bashy Designs from over in my Discord server, and I bronze anodized them. They faded a lot, though. Okay, so moving on from Benchmade. ESEE, I'm not going to dwell on them too long either. ESEE has started upgrading to more premium steel, so they're starting to use S35 VN and stuff. Cool, good, awesome improvement. If they're still honoring their awesome warranty with higher end steels, that's a win for everybody. So they did it to pass Ben's finger test. That's probably true. That's probably true. We'll get to Protech. We're also going to get to Ben's Banter knife. We'll get there. We'll get there. Boker Castle series. So let me pull this back up and find Boker. I'm skipping Medford. He had some pretty cool stuff. I'm skipping Medford. Sorry, not sorry. So when Blade HQ did their Boker video, they went to Germany and did a factory tour and everything. They came out with a Blade HQ exclusive Boker knife that was very, very similar to this, and I was actually kind of miffed that I missed one. I was really kind of sad. So the Medford Slim, yeah, they made a really slim Medford. I think it's really cool, but I'm not going to dwell on it too long. This thing right here, I'm digging it. Like, they're using 01 tool steel on some of these, I believe, and I love the scales, to be completely honest. I didn't see anything from Lion Steel. I did not catch them yet. But look at that. All of these. I'm loving literally all of these. They're going to be fairly budget friendly. I love the Barlow in the back. I will probably grab one or two of these. Just wanted to say that. But the other thing, at the end of this Boker video, if you did not watch it, Lucas Burnley came out to talk about his new knife, which is called the Aphex, Aphex. this was the first time it was revealed. And it's pretty cool. It's like $550 and only 500 of them are available, I believe. It's a spendy knife. They're going to be available in a couple of weeks. All I'm saying is that if this knife did not have that inlay, or if it was a micarta inlay, that would be a sick knife. But I'm not digging the marbled carbon fiber. But yeah, $550, M390 titanium frame lock. I believe its own bearings. So pretty cool, but very spendy for a production knife. Very spendy, but it's APHEX. It's not out yet, but it will be at some point. How far behind are my comments? Oh, we're not. Okay. We're not behind. Aren't the scales old whiskey barrel oak? I'm not sure. They're called the Castle series. The slip joints are Castle series, and I think it has something to do with a specific castle. I didn't pay attention to the backstory. But I want a wood-handled traditional. One that's inexpensive and one that I'll actually keep and use. Next thing up that I really liked from the show was from Tops Knives. I've never had anything from Tops Knives, and most of their stuff is not really for me, I would say. But there is two things, one knife and a slingshot that I'm really digging, and it's the Toco. Unfortunately, my face is covering this up too, so I'll move me over here. But that brown micarta or natural micarta Toco is a really cool fixed blade. And the reason I really like this knife is it's like the bull trout, so it's not much bigger than the bull trout actually was. But it's got a blade shape very, very similar to the Ontario Rat 3. And I'm really digging it. So it comes skeletonized, or you can get it with those scales, and I think they said they're going to make more scales for it. But yeah, this thing looks really, really neat. Very small fixed blade. It looks about the size of the Bradford Guardian 3, but it looks like the ergos could be maybe a little better. And people seem to love the Guardian 3. I like it. I haven't fallen in love with it yet. I've not even really used it, but this one looked really cool to me. But also, let's get to the slingshot. Little itty bitty slingshot. It's really cool. But I've never had anything from Tops Knives, so this is probably the year for me to try something from Tops. I don't know the name of the mini slingshot, but I think it's a pretty neat little thing. I want to get one. Show the sword. So they do, yes, they have a sword. It's the Kumakaze. I don't know how it's pronounced, but yeah, Tops Knives made a sword. It is not this. I'm getting to it. The Kumakaze is right here. It's basically a machete, but yeah, they made a sword. Micarta Feist. Did they announce a Micarta Feist? Or was a Micarta Feist already a thing? The Toco was the small bull trout looking knife. But yeah, this one's really cool. The next thing I was watching, and these are basically in the order of the the Blade HQ videos, but there was one thing from Civivi that jumped out at me. Only one knife. And it was the Odium. I think it was the first knife they talked about. It was not. Where's the Odium? The Odium is kind of like a half dome looking thing. I don't even see it. Did I miss it? I went through these pretty fast. I do not see the Odium. Oh, I'm on the Wee Knives video. They had a Civivi video. Somewhere. Here it is. I did not like the Jared Oser knife at all. If I'm going to be completely honest, I did not like the Oser. That's a big nope from me. That's the Odium. It's like, it looks like an Onso, not an Onso, it looks like a Jesper Voxnez design. It honestly does. I'm kind of getting some Suru vibes from it, at least from the blade and the choil, but not the handle. If it's half as good as an Elementum, it's going to be a killer knife. Just saying. But the Odium seems really, really nice. It does kind of remind me of the Half Dome. Different shapes and stuff, I know, but it just, I love the size and shape of this thing. But I'm digging it. Oh, was the Odium a Ferrum Forge? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I knew there was a Ferrum Forge collaboration, so this one was actually designed by Ferrum Forge. That makes a ton of sense. I had heard there was a Ferrum Forge collaboration. I didn't know which one it was. It makes perfect sense that I would pick that one out and like it. I love most of the stuff that Ferrum Forge does. I didn't really care for any of the other stuff from Civivi. If you want to see all this stuff, I'm not going to talk about it all. There's a ton. The tweezers, obviously everybody was gushing on the tweezers. Everybody loved the Civivi tweezers. Civivi tweezers were a hit, and then Zach was talking about the brass and copper Blade HQ exclusive Elementums. Mike, why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? I'm just trying to be friends with everybody. I don't know what's wrong. It was a Ferrum Forge design. What's up, everybody? Hello, Carol. The brass. So the thing about the Elementums with the copper and brass scales is that they come pre-patinaed, and I'm a big fan of putting my own patina on things. So I would definitely have to blast whatever coating they have on that forced patina off and do my own for sure. The hat, I've had that question a few times now. I got this one from Lebos, but you can find them on eBay for like $15. Okay, moving on to Wee Knives. There was only one Wee knife that I cared about and most of you cared about. They had a bunch of new stuff. Some of it was okay. Wee Knives, much like Artisan Cutlery, a lot of the time is a little too over the top for me, a little high speed, low drag. They have some nice designs. There are some that I like, but I would say most of what they talked about in this video with Blade HQ was a little much for me. I didn't really care too much for the styles. They're very heavy on styling. But of course, what everybody wants is what is up, guys? Right? Everybody wants to see the Banter. It's a pretty cool knife. I have to say the handle on the Banter is throwing me for a loop. I love the blade shape. I'm not a huge fan of the handle, but if the ergonomics are right, then I don't care as much how it looks. That's what happened with this knife. So this knife right here, everybody either loves or hates it. This is the half dome from Summit Knife Company, and it's a love it or hate it design. I didn't love it until I got it in hand, and it just melts into your hand. It just fits perfectly in your hand, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So if Ben's knife is the same way, then I get past the looks and I love it. That's just how it is. Now, I will say the blackout version, I was told, does not have the blue thumb studs. It will be a totally blacked out blade with black thumb studs as well. No Ben Blue on the blackout. But yeah, the handle is pretty boxy, and I'm not sure I love it, but time will tell. It is $110, which I think is the price point, and he nailed that. He absolutely nailed the price point. Callan Austin, thank you for the $5 Canadian. He says, hey, I love the channel. Looking for a liner lock under 3 inches with a thumb stud. Let me know what's out there for budget options. Liner lock thumb stud under 3 inches. Liner lock thumb stud under 3 inches. The Wee Banter, it's under 3 inches, liner lock, and a thumb stud. So, there you go. I'm not sure what your budget is. Budget is something that's different for everybody, so I'd have to know what your budget is, really. But I would definitely say look at... oh boy, who crushes it with thumb studs in the budget industry? Ontario Rat Knives. Honestly, can't really beat those for the price. Rat 1 or 2, both are thumb studs. Both are liner locks. Rat 2 is under 3. I think Rat 1 is over. So that's a good option. Trying to see if I got anything else here. No. Nope. I do not. But yeah, check out Rake, which is Ruike. Rake. Kizer has a budget line, which is the not beg lighter. It's the Tangram line. There's Civivi, and then there is also CJRB. All of those are ridiculously good budget lines. But yeah, the Banter, I want to love it. I'm not sure I do. I know, and Ben knows this as well. He and I have very different views on knives. I absolutely love... I'll get it eventually. Absolutely love this knife right here. And Ben and I were talking about this knife, and he said, I just can't get behind front flippers. I can't do it. And he said, there's no reason for a knife to be a front flipper. The Tuna is a liner lock, yes. The Tuna would be good if you can get them. They're all sold out. But Ben and I were talking, he said, there's no reason anybody should ever use a front flipper other than just for fun, because it's not practical. And I agree. I agree because... No, I disagree. I'm reading and talking at the same time. I disagree. I am gushing on this knife because I love this knife. It's perfect. This knife is absolutely perfect. But Ben and I disagree about front flippers. We disagree about this knife in particular. He and I know that we don't always agree on knives. Tuna is back on Blade HQ. It's a good knife. I think it's overpriced a little bit for what it is, because you're getting, I think, 8 CR, or maybe even 7 CR. What is it? Let me look it up. Blade HQ Tuna. $45, and you're getting an 8CR13 knife. It is liner lock. No, it's frame. It's not a liner lock. It's a frame lock. It's a nice looking knife. I love the lines and design. I have a hard time getting behind a $45 8CR13 knife. And that's not me being a steel snob. That's me knowing what the market looks like. You know, $40-50 you're looking at VG10, D2, things in that realm. And then once you get closer to 100, you're looking at even now like 20 CV. Gerber came out with a 20 CV knife under $100. I think it's 70 or 80 bucks. That's crazy. Even OS 8 at $45. OS 8 and 8CR are very similar, but I would prefer an OS 8 at least. This, honestly, I think should be closer to 30, 35, to be completely honest. It's pretty high for 8CR. Just saying. Okay, next, Kizer Knives. So they had one knife that interested me. Maybe two, but mostly just one. And that would be the Clutch, which is their micarta inlay. Can't remember what it's called. This one was cool. This is the Thunderchild, I think is what it's called. Spyderco's last. That one's kind of cool. A little mech for me, I think. This was the other one that I would say is a maybe for me. Justin Lundquist, he makes some pretty cool stuff. He's the designer of the Kizer Feist and the Baby Barlow that I did a video on. And Lundquist is a cool guy. He's got a new logo too, which is a pretty cool logo, but this thing just looks kind of cool. I think this is a code knife. But the Clutch, where's the Clutch? Is that the Clutch? That is not the Clutch. That's not the Clutch. That looks like it maybe. Nope. I can't remember where it was in the video. I think it was earlier on. Is that a beg lighter? It looked kind of like a beg lighter. Clutch, where are we at? Oh, it was the first one they talked about. So the Clutch, it's a micarta inlay knife with a texture to it, which is really nice. The reason that jumped out at me was because I like Kizer's designs a lot of the time, but they tend to use smooth scales on everything. So anything with texture is a really nice change from Kizer. And then they did some milling around or smoothing of the micarta under the clip, which was really nice. Dan, while I would probably like that knife, that is not the knife for me. That is not like my recipe. Nice try though. Very close. But this one was the Kizer for me that I really liked. Cool blade shape. Love the micarta inlays. Flipper knife. Like, it doesn't have to be a flipper for me to like it. I like thumb studs. But I like that. I think it's a pretty solid knife from Kizer. A change of pace. Know what I mean? Excuse me. Okay, I think there's only two more things to go. Taylor's just said I'm being a hater. Hey, I'm a professional hater. I didn't see the Wee Knives pry bar, but I'm not gonna go back now. The next one, I skipped over Buck. They didn't really have anything for me, but I could not ignore, even though I'm not a huge fan of autos, I could not ignore Protech. This one's pretty cool. This one was starts with an M. I cannot remember it. It's not an auto. It's a flipper button lock. What is it? I had it written down. I'm blanking now. Pretty cool little knife. Comes in a Warncliffe and a reverse Tanto. But the knife that, actually before I go any further, this right here. The Malibu. Okay, so that was the Malibu. The flipper button lock is a Malibu. This one, I'm not a huge Strider fan. I'm not a huge fan of blacked out knives. this knife is so badass. So it's the S&G, the Strider S&G from Protech. They totally murdered it out, totally blacked out everything, and have a tritium inlay button lock. Like, it's pretty sick, I'm not going to lie. But the knife from Protech that I really liked was the Arcform Slimfoot. So I've been watching these on Instagram, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this knife right here. The only Protech I've ever owned is the SBR. But I love this little design. It's a small knife, very, very snappy. But I'm just not a huge fan of autos. But I mean, if I'm gonna own an auto, I want it to be a Protech, you know. This thing just kicks so hard. But yeah, the blacked out S&G is ridiculous. Honestly, like, it is. It is. I think Blade HQ said they're gonna send me a Slimfoot. I don't know if they're serious, but I was in their live stream and they said they might have to send me a Slimfoot. But these are gonna be extremely limited. He didn't say how many, but the totally blacked out S&Gs will be very limited. So, really cool stuff from Protech. I will definitely be looking for their stuff at Blade Show. But I want to show you one thing from Blade HQ. Not S&G Slimfoot. There's a version of the Slimfoot that I really like. It's not here. Where is it? Ah, right here it is. Coming soon. The Slimfoot price isn't too bad either, to be completely honest. $175. But that's the one I like. The satin flats. I think it's a pretty sweet looking finish on that knife. Really sick little knife. I definitely need to stop buying knives though. I plan on doing a knife collection video pretty soon. I was thinking maybe next week or the week after, but I want to do a knife collection video because it's gotten out of hand, and I don't think you guys know how bad it is yet. Nick B, thank you for the $5, and he says, keep up the great content. I try, man. I try my best. It's been tough lately. Getting sick and all that. What pry bar do I recommend? Oh, I don't have it in my pocket today. It must be in my bag. That one. That's the one. Lynch Northwest All Access Pass 1.5 is my favorite. Mainly because it has a pocket clip. I don't always need a pry tool on me, but I always need a flathead, and having it just clip to my pocket is way better than one like clip to my keychain or something. So pocket clip's the big seller on that. If you can get your hands on one of these, that's the best one. And the very last thing I want to talk about is Spyderco. They didn't have much that I was super interested in. Like, I don't really care for the lightweight Tenacious. If they had upgraded the blade steel, maybe. But they didn't upgrade the blade steel, and I just think it's dated for what they're asking. If they updated the blade steel or dropped the price, I think it would be really, really great. Hard not to recommend it. I mean, it's a staple, but it's a little long in the tooth, and I think it's time that they upgrade it. But they're apparently not ready to do that yet. Instead, they're just going to make it a little lighter and put some different scales on it and call it new. But this obviously is the only thing from Spyderco I thought was pretty interesting. I'm not a huge Tanto fan, but the Tanto here is pretty cool, I think. They've done a lot to make it work for this knife. I didn't watch this whole video. I skimmed, but I was pretty sure that they kept 8CR on the Tenacious lightweight. I could be wrong, but I think it's just 8CR. But yeah, this one right here, I would probably rock this knife, to be completely honest. I would rock this. And the other thing to mention is Spyderco upgraded a lot of their blade steels. So this one's S30V, but the new PM2s, I don't know if they're all going to be or if they're just doing sprint runs, but nope, look, there it is. That's the Tenacious lightweight. And you can see right there, 8CR13. No upgraded steel. Why? But I think in some of their others, they're doing S45 VN instead of S35. The Benchmade Presidio. Honestly, Benchmade did not do anything for me at SHOT Show. If I'm going to be completely honest. They didn't really do much for me. So yeah, 8CR on the Tenacious lightweight. Just, why? I just don't get it. I don't get it. But there you are. Like, honestly, why would you get a Tenacious lightweight over a Para 3 lightweight? Other than it being roughly twice the price, like, it's a much better investment to get a Para 3 lightweight than a Tenacious. The Gold Class Mini Crooked River, nope, it didn't do it for me, man. It didn't do it. No. No, see, they shouldn't be charging more for D2 on the Tenacious. They should upgrade the Tenacious at its current price point to D2. That's my argument. I just think their pricing is wrong on that. They're charging a Spyderco tax on a budget knife that is several years outdated. They did announce the Yojimbo 2 in a totally blacked out blade, which I guess that's kind of cool, but I'm not gushing over it. Copper scales on that would look kind of cool, I think, though. So, out of everything at SHOT Show, knife related, what was your favorite thing? I'm interested to see what you guys say. No, Mossberg, I don't think they will I don't think they'll upgrade the steel and keep the price the same. I'm saying they should. I'm not at all trying to imply that they will. Okay, so the S45 VN is just for sprint runs, which is fine. I mean, S35, S30V, those are fine blade steels, to be completely honest. You want the Malibu. I think the Malibu's cool, but probably the Odium. Me too. I didn't catch the price point on the Odium, but it's Civivi, so it shouldn't be too terribly expensive. I'd say in the $50 range. That's where they tend to hit. It's right around $50. So $50 for a Ferrum Forge design, count me in. Tops, Knives, EDC Slingshot, and the Kizer Clutch. I'm right there with you, man. I don't know if they were my absolute favorites, but those were pretty sick. The new launch. So I didn't talk about Kershaw at all because I didn't really care for much of anything they brought to the show. The Launch 11 was pretty cool, though, but not for me. Kershaw, a lot of what they announced was assisted. And I'm not a fan of that. And SOG, I did not talk about SOG. So SOG also has an Axis style lock now. But what I don't like about SOG, I don't really care for the design language. They were pretty open about how they know they've not been making the best knives lately and that they want to change that. I think that's commendable, but literally nothing they brought to SHOT Show really did much for me at all. if I'm going to be completely honest. And I think it was that the Ultra XR, whichever one they had with like 50 different handle colors. To be completely honest, like I know that knife design has been around, but throwing an Axis style lock on it it just makes it look like SOG is going after the Bugout craze. It looks like they're targeting the hype around the Bugout, and I'm not digging it. Right, Launch 11 would be great if it wasn't an auto. I don't know what knife it was that they announced that had 20 CV under $100. That's in the Kershaw video. I think it was a pretty cool looking knife, but not enough to make my list. CRKT Bowie. As a German, it's always hard to hear how you pronounce Boker. I took German for a little bit, and I know it's not Boker, but that's what everybody calls it. Boker? Boker? I don't know. The umlauts always threw me for a loop. I don't always know how to pronounce umlauts. That Artisan new lock thing is my fave. I think I would be more interested in that Artisan lock if they could slim it down. So if they made it so you just use your index finger instead of pulling from both sides, I know they tried to make it even more than just ambidextrous, more than just being able to do a thumb or an index. You could unlock the knife many different ways. It seems very well thought out, but it's just bulky on whatever that knife was. Hinderer Ranch Harpoon Sponto. Yeah, so the ranch knife was really cool. I'd not seen that from Hinderer. I didn't realize he announced those at Blade Show 2019. I understand that the umlaut is more of like a but I don't know how to put that between a B and a KER. I just can't do it. My mouth doesn't work that way. But at least I tried, right? So for me, the show stealer, I haven't even really picked one yet. Like I don't even know. If I had to choose one, like if from all these knives that I talked about in this thing here, this list, if I had to talk or choose just one, honestly, it would be a toss-up between 3 knives. So let me try to rank them now. Let's do 4. We'll do 4 knives, okay? Top would have to be the Hinderer Vintage series that he's throwing over to the XM knives, like the XM18 in the Vintage. Like that wood handle, green titanium, anodized, bronzed hardware, like everything about that is just sick to me. I love it. And I will be getting one of those for sure. A Hinderer Vintage is in my future. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say, is Arcform Slimfoot from Protech. That collaboration just looks awesome. I'm digging that. I probably won't get the S&G. I probably will get the Arcform. So I think that's a really good entry. 3 would be Civivi Odium, because, like I said, a Ferrum Forge design for around $50, count me in all day. Civivi is crushing, and the Odium is probably going to crush. That's a really solid budget knife. If I were not going to choose that, I would probably say the Ontario knife company, Shikra. But since I chose the Odium, number 4 is going to go to the Paramilitary 2 or the Tanto Paramilitary. Was that a PM2 or PM3? I think it was a PM2 he was talking about, but yeah. No, Mossberg, you misunderstand. You misunderstand. I didn't say I was stopping buying knives. I didn't say I was going to stop. I said I need to. There's a very big difference between those two statements. I need to stop, but we all know I'm not going to. What I really need to do is sell some knives so I can buy some more. No banter. I'm really not sold on it. The handle is questionable for me. It's very boxy looking. And like I explained, Ben and I have very different preferences in knife design. When I showed up, I was at Blade Show. I was at dinner with Ben and Zach, and we were all talking about the knives that we were carrying. So we just basically pocket checked each other. It was me, Zach, Talon, and Ben all at dinner. And I was carrying this knife. I was carrying this half dome in my Carta, and I passed it around the table. And Ben did not like this knife at all. Surprisingly, he hated this knife, which is perfectly fine. I get it. It's weird, but I like it. We just have different tastes. Want to sell that disc flipper. Oh, what? This one? The James brand? That silent flip. I really like the shape of this knife. I think it's a great knife. I think they really missed the mark on the price. What was Talon's favorite? Talon was, well, we weren't talking about favorite knives. We were talking about what knife we were carrying. This was at Blade Show 2019. Talon was carrying a Protech not TRM. That's Three Rivers Manufacturing. I don't know what it is. TR4, TR3, whatever that knife is, that's what he was carrying. Sounds weird. Yeah, this thing. Yeah, so part of the issue with autos is local laws. Technically, I'm pretty sure that everything spring-loaded is illegal to even own in North Carolina, but the wording in the laws are very weird. So technically, this is illegal. TR5, there we go. That was what he was. Protech TR5 is what he had. I don't remember. Anyway. So this one's technically illegal. So is the Cypher. I think. I have no idea. So it just adds some ambiguity into whether it's legal or not. But the other thing is, why do you need an auto when if you have a perfectly tuned detent, you don't need something automatic, and you don't have to have a spring in there, and it needs less maintenance, like it's easier to clean, and it's illegal, or it's legal to not have an auto knife in more places. So there is nothing discernibly faster. Switch hands. There's nothing discernibly faster about this over this. There, if anything, if at all, it's microseconds, and pushing a button arguably could be easier than, a front flipper. It's easier to misfire with a flipper. It's easier to misfire with anything other than just pushing a button. But it just, I don't know, adds some complications to it. I like this knife. I don't carry it a ton because technically I think it's illegal, but I think it's illegal to just own it, not even carry it. It's illegal to have it at home. But still, I just prefer manual flippers and manual thumb studs. Okay, so Connor says auto knives are legal in North Carolina. Spring-loaded ballistic knives are illegal. So yeah, it does say specifically ballistic knives, But there are actually laws that say spring-loaded knives are illegal. And it's just a matter of where you're reading from. And what's so interesting about it is Microtech is headquartered in Asheville. They're in Asheville. They make all their knives here in Asheville. So if it was illegal to own them, how could they possibly make them? Because the company would still own them until they sell them, you know? So they moved their headquarters from another state to North Carolina. So it makes me believe that they are legal, but I have no idea. I've read the laws. I've asked other people, and nobody seems to have the definitive answers. Steven, thank you for the 2 donations of $1.99, and thank you for listening while driving. Please don't participate anymore. Please be safe. And Chris, thank you for the $2 for your mod dues. Yeah, if you want to be a mod, you just have to bribe me enough. That's what Chris did. And I saw earlier that somebody said sell my Pena, and no, that's never going to happen. This knife is in my collection forever. Yeah, so when it comes to fixed blades in North Carolina, you have to open carry. So you can't have a fixed blade concealed. That's illegal, which makes it very annoying to carry a fixed blade. You have to have it open, which means for me, I'd probably have to have a dangling sheath that sticks well past the bottom of my coat or something. Thanks for hanging out, Gearholm. Mike Hale has a great point. If your auto spring breaks, it's worthless. I mean, you could get the spring replaced. That's a thing that you can do, but still. That's also true of any knives with an Axis style lock. So a Bugout, most your Benchmades, this knife from James brand, any knife with like an Omega spring, that spring breaks, you have to get it replaced. Excuse me. Mike clarified the knife is useless in the moment, which is true. Slip joint fuse. I like slip joints. I have a Northwoods that I'm trying to sell right now, but I have a beaver tail, a Great Eastern Cutlery beaver tail on the way to me right now, and I'm excited for it. Hey, look at that. Fowler from Alone, or his YouTube channel, which is Fowler's Mischief and Makery. He just asked me if I was at SHOT Show. Unfortunately, I am not, Fowler. I'll get back to you in a minute. What Northwoods? I have the Little Bay. I'll go get it. Hang on. It's back here. Any word on the podcast? None yet. We were going to test some things out this week, and then I got sick. So this is the Northwoods that I have, which was, I mean, I should have known by the name Little Bay that it was smaller than I expected, but I didn't expect it to be quite this small. It's very small. So compared to the SBR, which is also a small knife, the Little Bay is quite small. Favorite brewery around the CLT area? Way smaller. Yeah, so here's the Elementum in the Little Bay. The Elementum's not a giant knife, so. misfires are the reason I like assisted. The Kershaw, what was it, Cryo 2 that I had was an auto, not an auto, it was an assisted that misfired all the time. I saw something about, Bradley says, what's your favorite brewery around the CLT area? Boom. These guys. This is a brewery, I think I'm too close, High Branch Brewing. So the actual physical location is not my favorite. They've got like a little rinky-dink space right now. It's not massive, but they have, they are going to be moving locations pretty soon, and they're getting this whole big area, which is going to be nice. They have some of the best beer in North Carolina. So, and I think it's one of the highest rated. They were rated highly on Yelp. They were actually mentioned by BuzzFeed a couple weeks ago. They're doing great things. So, really small brewery though. This hazy IPA is one of the best I've had. So, High Branch is actually like 80 yards, probably a little more than that. I'll say like 200 yards outside this door. That's what I took. I took my boosted board before I went live and went and got a 4-pack. It's really nice being that close to a brewery. 2 breweries, actually. Thanks for hanging out, Connor. I am about to wrap it up, guys. I've got to get going. I've got things to do tonight. Do you like monkey shoulder scotch? The first time I tried it, I did not like monkey shoulder at all. I waited maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 months and tried it again, and I loved it. Want to trade German beer for an Elementum? If it's a Hefeweizen, that is a hard no for me. I do not like a lot of German beer. But I just sold my other Elementum so I could buy this one. I know a guy, knock around, I know a guy that would agree with you. He is the head of PR for Buick, and he loves some beer, and he's one of the most active people on, what is it, Untapped in the Michigan area. Or not Michigan area, but like Detroit area. He's one of the most active people around there. He knows his things about beer. Things to do, such as drink more beer. Well, you're not wrong. Okay, Brian Johnson says, NC statute says spring-loaded projectile knife is illegal. However, spring-action opening knives are not included in the definition of ordinary pocket knife, so you'd need a CCW permit to carry. Good to know. Yeah, that, like, their wording is so obscure. Like, it's just not, I hate how they worded everything on that. Like, they, in that statute, it also, not that one in particular, but in the knife laws and carry laws, it says that slung shot is illegal to conceal carry, but they're not sure, because there's not ever been a case on it, they're not sure if that also covers slingshots. It's talking more of like a slung shot that you swing and let go of one, like a slung shot. I don't know. I am on Untapped, but I've not used it in a long time. You work for Founders. Founders is a pretty good brewery. They were one of my first that I tried before I really went off into the deep end. All right, have a good day, Mike. Ever try Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale? I have, actually. Yes, it was very good. Oh, I forgot to talk about one thing. I am totally redoing my list right now. Totally, it slipped my mind. I can't believe this. I'm glad that there are still 170 of you here. There was one thing from SHOT Show that nobody else talked about that it's number 1. So everything in my list shifts down 1, right? So my list was Hinderer Vintage Series. Then we had Arcform Slimfoot, Civivi Odium, and then we had Spyderco Paramilitary Tanto, right? That's 2, 3, 4, 5 now. And number 1, and you guys don't know about this. You guys don't know about this. I'm dropping hot knowledge on you right now, which is not my knowledge. Zach dropped this on his live stream last night on the Blade HQ on Instagram. There is going to be a production GM5 from GiantMouse. A micarta GM5. I'm so excited. I totally forgot about that because it wasn't talked about anywhere. I forgot about it when I was making my list. Nobody else seems interested in this at all. No one. Probably because they don't know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. So it's going to be part of their Ace line. So like the Ace Biblio. Yeah. So it's going to be a GM5 like this. Who's saying Orale? O-R-A-L-E. What is this? What is Orale? What are you talking about? Anyway, we'll go to Instagram GiantMouse Knives, right? And I will show you. So it's going to have micarta like this. It means cool. I don't know what that means. You guys, you millennials, I don't know your terminology. So this is the GiantMouse 5 right there. And they're making that, it's either the GM5 or the GM6. They just dropped the GM6. They just did a drop of both the other day, I think. What are we looking at? I thought they had more pictures. Anyway. So that mixed with the Ace Biblio, basically. So this is one of their customs, but they're doing an Ace line, which is their production line with Viper knives, and they're going to do that with micarta. And I am all about it. We're not focusing. There we go. Yeah, I'm digging it. So it's a bigger Suru. Maybe, not really. But I'm digging it. So I think it looked better than this custom, to be completely honest. Let's click this. Let's see what pops up. GiantMouse Ace Grand. I don't have a Clyde. I honestly don't care for the Clyde. So there's another picture of it. I'm covering it up a little bit. Here we go. So this one. They're doing it in micarta, and I'm all about it. I am excited. I love everything from Vox and Onso, and except for maybe the Clyde. I don't really care for the Clyde, but basically all of these are hot. The GM, I guess, is that the GM2? Whichever one this one is. I don't know exactly which one that one is. I'm not a huge fan of that one. This one I am. The one with the, with that clip point is a little aggressive for me, maybe. I don't know. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? You're late to the show. You missed me harassing you about the podcast. The Clyde is nice. The Clyde looks a little funky to me, if I'm going to be honest. I'm trying to go back to it. Don't worry, guys. It's going to take Jeremy another hour to type out a message. Just give him a minute. Oh, one of my favorite things to do is harass Jeremy. It never gets old. I like the Ace Sonoma, but the Clyde, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. The Nimbus, I like. The Clyde is just, I don't know. You were editing. Editing what? Orale. So it's not oral, it's orale. Love you too, Jeremy. Jeremy has to move his beard each time he uses a single finger to type on his keyboard. He is a hunting pecker. I love this thing, though. Whoops. Uh-oh. That's not good. Might need to be cleaned. I've been used to opening this sucker, which is just outrageous. This thing, you just barely flick it and it flies open. This one, you've got to have a little conviction when you I failed you. Failed you for what? Yes, I called you a pecker. What is this knife? This is the Berg Blades Iron Wolf. You can see the Berg Blades logo. This thing is quite the knife. Smooth as silk. Ooh, I like this. Tony's even giving you hell, Jeremy. I am loving it. Yeah, this is a 9-inch knife, by the way. 9 inches, and then the cipher is like 9.3, I think. 9.4. So I got a few big knives. Heavy blade flipper. Yeah, I mean it's definitely heavy. And then it's smooth as silk. Anyway, I think it's about time to go home. I'm getting hungry. It's been a while since I've had any food. And it's been great hanging out. I will be back next week with a vengeance. Hopefully nobody gets sick next week. And get back on that 2 to 3 video a week train. He's Tony Cox is your uncle? Well, I like Tony. I'm a fan of Tony. Anybody who trash talks Jeremy, whom I love. Jeremy's a great friend, but anybody who trash talks him is good in my book. Anyway, it is time to go home. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'd really hate I didn't go to Blade Show or Shot Show. I keep saying Blade. Next year I will 100% go to Shot unless something crazy comes up. But I hate I didn't go this year. Probably a good thing I didn't plan on going because the whole family got sick and I might have paid for it and still had to not go to the trip. But I opted out this year, and next year I will be going. But I will be at Blade Show this year, 100%. Jeremy's going to go with me to Blade Show. He already told me. So we'll go to Blade Show. There will be a meetup at Blade Show in Atlanta Not exactly sure when, where, how, or why, or what yet. We have not planned anything, but we got a few months to figure that out. But there will be a meetup at Blade Show. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Shot Show was pretty cool, but part of me is glad I didn't go. But regardless, I'm rambling. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new here, thanks for hanging out. Like the video so we can push things forward and grow this channel. Soon, Jeremy and I will be launching a podcast together, and guess what it's going to be called? Whiskey Knife Fight. We finally decided on a name, and I'm digging it. Let me pull it up real quick. You should go subscribe to Whiskey Knife Fight. That is the channel right there. It will be a live podcast, and we just have to figure out the rest of the details. But we're going to figure that out hopefully next week, and then we'll go from there. But go subscribe to this channel. I will link it down below once I'm done here. But subscribe to this channel, subscribe to that, subscribe to Jeremy, and follow us around the web. But with all of that said, and until next time, I'm going to stop rambling. Carry on.